What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Daniel Acevedo.
What's going, guys?
What's up? So please continue to tune in. So Monday, Tuesday, our topics, Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask CISSP. I don't have one for this upcoming week because I'm recording it, so you'll see it next week. And then Fridays, everything else. So movies, books, games, all that good stuff. And we will be spoiler-free debating if Deadpool and Wolverine was good or bad. So we'll see how that discussion goes. So check that one out on Friday. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article comes from TechCrunch.com by Lorenzo Franceschi Bicari. I hope I said it right, Lorenzo. I apologize if I butchered it, which I'm pretty sure I did.
That's why I give it to you.
Yeah, I know. let me get doxed, but no. So the title of this one is "How a Cybersecurity Researcher Befriended, Then Doxed the Leader of LockBit Ransomware Gang." Right. So, with this being the discussion article, so here's where I want to turn this, right? So do you think this is a way to do things in the future, right? Like, it's kind of funny, right? Because what this leads to me is that you have these people out here that are doing these nefarious things that they want to be known. They want people to know that they're doing it, right? And we talked about with the whole LockBit thing, like we talked about it, and Ryan, you bring it up all the time. You're like, hey, they're going to be back up in no time, right? Which they were. Right. But like, it was kind of funny because it had the message on the site that was like, hey, like kind of all your sites belong to us now. You know what I mean? It pretty much is what it was saying. Right. But I'm curious if this is going to be the way going forward to where when it comes to dealing with ransomware gangs, how this is going to be the way we do things. Right. So like this person went out there and they were just like, hey, you know, like, hey, like what you're kind of like, what do you kind of say? Like, puffing them up a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we like what you're doing, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. And then, boop, like, got in there where they needed to and made them look a little foolish. But again, they were back up in no time, right? Because it's one of those things where they're not going to stay down long because it's very lucrative to be a ransomware gang, right? Or to be some type of hacker that's making money off, these soft targets like we've talked about previously. If you go back and look at one of our previous episodes where we're talking about hospitals being soft targets, right? But it's kind of funny, you know what I mean, to me, because it's just like it's what do you call that? Cyber spy? What would you call that? Cybersecurity spy games or something? I don't know how you would kind of label that, but it's kind of a funny thing to me. But is this going to be the wave of the future? Are you going to start seeing more people do this because they're kind of sick of it? You know what I mean? Like this person was a cybersecurity researcher. You know what I mean? So it's not like they were really. I don't want to say not really affected, right? Because I mean, I guess it does help them, right? This gives them something else. Like they can profit from this in that they're going out doing TED Talks or doing something else out there to where they can make money based off what they did and tell other people how to do it, right? Like
write a book,
write a book, right? Or it could be the new Trump Academy or something like that, you know. Although this guy has real stuff to teach you, I guess, but. No, this was an interesting read, right? Because I imagine this would work more often than not. You know what I mean? Like getting in cool with somebody and then being like, all right, all your stuff belongs to us now. This is what we're going to do. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
Like, share, subscribe. Capacita.
Yeah.
500 people, you know, we got to get our viewership up, our producer says. So please, continue to watch the whole video through. We really appreciate your support, and how far we've gotten so far. I think it's a big thing. Thankfully, I joined the team and I could see this milestone. So thank you guys for having me. It's been really fun so far. But with that out of the way, right?
Yeah.
Man, this one, I love this story. This was such a fun read for me. First of all, let me get this guy's name right. John DiMaggio? Are you kidding me? This guy, straight out of a freaking Apple Netflix show. This guy's my hero. This is it's like Tokyo Vice, the show I'm watching with Mindhunters, like how the FBI used to profile the serial killers. He's profiling and getting into a Cybercriminals underground and trying to befriend him and getting all the tea. I had to look up doxed I did not know what that word meant. I'm not proud of it. But like for our younger listeners out there, hopefully we got some young listeners, like dox essentially is like spilling the tea. I know that's like a thing people say now. It's like literally getting this guy to give up all the goods to then put him on blast and just air out all the dirty laundry for the news outlets and to go on TED Talks. And he, already talked about it in Black Hat. He said he was in the RSA conference in San Francisco he was going to talk about this. He's been in talks with the FBI. Kind of at the end of the article, he talks about how he reached out to them to make sure to see, hey, I have a story about this guy. Should I release it or not? Because I don't want to release it ahead of the time if you guys are going to air it out as well. And I don't want to ruin anything for you. Also, it gives me a good insight if he's on the right track. But this, man, I want the 5-part, 6-part TV series of this guy to come out about this, because it's an amazing story. Like, I was on the edge of my seat reading this. That's how enjoyable this article was. But to your previous question, I do not see this being the way forward, because this is very dangerous. So he's a cyber writer. He's not even a cyber. I mean, he's a researcher, so he probably has a stronger foundation than a normal person would. Maybe some of our colleagues or friends, not our colleagues and friends, because they listen to this podcast and they're in the world, but maybe, our parents or some of our other friends that are out of this circle. He probably has a better understanding, but, he's going up against cyber criminals that, in their rightful mind are some of the best to do this, especially with ransomware. And you're kind of making an enemy of those people. And I wouldn't have a peace of mind doing this and then writing an article and a story about it afterwards, just waiting around every day to see what happens. So I don't know how he's dealing with it. I wouldn't sleep. I'm a much weaker person than this guy is, but my hat's off to him and made a great story. I'm pretty sure the lessons learned from him and the things that he can disclose on his methodology of how he went about gaining the trust and infiltrating and those things given to the intelligence organizations and intelligence community, the federal community, criminal activity community in this realm will be invaluable to kind of, if not mimic it, maybe use the same sock puppety, create a bunch of fake personalities to gain the trust of this guy, X, Y, and Z, and mature it to the next step, which would be a huge advantage for that. What's the word I'm looking for? Just the police force that has to deal with cybersecurity in general. It's a great win. But these are my happy thoughts for this article. Ryan, what do you think? Should I be pessimistic on this one?
So Daniel,
no.
So Daniel, here's the thing. You're more brave than you think you are, because I remember 2 weeks ago you went after Warren Buffett. You told him to stay in his lane. So I assure you, you're more brave than you think. That's like the 4th or 5th richest man in the world. Like, if he want to reach out and touch you, he can. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much about this.
Yeah, I made sure to tag you in there. I was trying to start a fight. I was instigating. Yeah. So we get on the Oracle Omaha's radar. That'll get us views.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. So my only not real issue with what DiMaggio did, I think what he did was pretty brave and brazen, and he collected a lot of good intel and then was able to also help to slow them down. Didn't quite shut them down, so they were only shut down for a little while, right? But they're not back to their original capacity, so that's great. But I just don't. So when you watch Vice, or you watch the person who's interviewing El Chapo, you're like, how did you gain access and trust and what have you? And then the whole thing is they don't disclose, right? But he's not a reporter; he's a researcher. That's different. So reporters usually don't give up sources and things of that nature, to the point where they'll get imprisoned and stuff like that. Right. But as a researcher, I think he doesn't have such rules or supposed ethics or moral code or what have you,
or concerns concerns to burn bridges or show how he gained that access or information.
Right. So I think that's the difference, and that's what I have to reconcile. Because if he was a reporter, then it'd be different, because they're not supposed to give it up. Because you watch Vice, you're like, yo, this dude's in the heart of. I don't want to make anybody mad, so I won't say specific countries, but in the madness, right? Like he or she is there. People walking around with like AKs and bandanas, wrapped around their, covering up their faces. But as a researcher, it is different, right? Because his whole intent or purpose is to come back with information and then disclose it, so we can all learn from it. So,
and that's the thing, and you have a good delineation there between the two, right? Because First Amendment rights for freedom of speech and the freedom of the press, right? Like they very much are going to hold on to those sources, right? And be like, hey, this is what I found, this is what I'm reporting, right? But like you bring up, a cybersecurity researcher, like they've already made the enemies, right? They've made enemies out of Google, Apple, Microsoft, right? Because they've already exposed all the things that they're I'm not going to say doing wrong, but things they may not have taken such care in, right? Because I don't think they're out there trying to do things purposefully wrong. But he's not going to be, I can guarantee you there's going to be more cybersecurity researchers be like, I can do that and I can do it better, right? I can hold it longer. I can be undercover for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like they're law enforcement. You know what I mean? Like I think we are going to see more of this, right? And I'm not mad at it, right? Like they know the risk going in because they're cybersecurity researchers. Like they have a background in this. They know what they're signing themselves up for. Reporters, like I said, you had a great delineation there on what their objective is, right? And what a cybersecurity researcher's objective is.
Yeah, so I think I was gonna say I think he's good in that regard, but he's got enemies now, especially to go to Black Hat and to unveil yourself, right? Like he probably didn't get out of there unscathed. He had all types of issues with his equipment. You just burn it.
But you know that at that point, right? So like your life is going to change if you go through this. Like you know your life is going to change to where it's like, okay, well I can't do this as easily as I used to be able to, right? Like I have to do something different. So
but it's very interesting. Like if he dropped a book, or if like Netflix or Apple made a documentary out of it, I'd watch it. It's pretty cool, especially in the day and age of catfish, right? I always like the way that they put their stuff together. Like they show the bubbles popping up, and then they show the different emails and chats and things of that nature. I think it kind of almost puts him on vigilante status, even though he is a researcher. It's I don't like this, so I'm going to go figure out how to get in there, and then I'm going to expose them. Kind of like the dudes who do like child predators, like. They're vigilantes, so to speak, right?
Well, he's a little different though, in that he took matters into his own hands, but he still coordinated with law enforcement though, right? Like, hey, if you guys are going to do something,
that's true.
I'm going to help you. Batman is out there like, hey, I'll wrap them up for you. They're hanging from this building. You know what I mean? Right. Come clean up what I did. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's a little bit of the difference, because he cared enough to be like, hey, I don't want to ruin anything you guys are going to do going forward that can help you in wrapping all of this up. It's a little different to me.
Yeah, true. No, that is very true. Like the guy, I can't remember his name, but there's a guy who he's on YouTube and what have you, social media. He goes after child predators, and one of the guys that they were kind of getting more information for, berating, things of that nature, he ran into the house and killed himself, and that was a big ordeal, because it was like, hey, you're not a cop. Right. Yeah. So he didn't get in trouble, but it was like very much like hairy situation for him. And he always has a guy with him because of the implications, right? Like, did you cause this guy to do this? And he got away scot clean or what have you. But like, what if the dude would have came outside and shot him instead? Right.
Yeah.
So
there's actually a really good TED talk about phishing, right? So this guy, he says you should engage phishers, and he goes into great detail where he like responds to the emails of the people trying to phish him, because he knows they're phishers. He says, like, you have to be, obviously be careful, protect yourself. Don't do this if you don't feel comfortable. This is how it can go wrong. But then he goes on to show like this long email exchange he has with a phishing person. And it's like super hilarious, right? And he gets the person that's trying to get him to send him money to talk in code and like to use code words. It's super hilarious. And he says, at the end of it, I would highly recommend it. If I can find it, I'll send it to you, Ryan, so you can include it in this article. And at the end of the TED Talk, he talks about the reason why to do it is that the more time you hold somebody talking to you, the less time they have to go run their script through people that are more susceptible.
That's true.
Don't use your real name. Don't use your real emails. Don't use your real phone numbers. But he says, hey, if that sweet nectar of life reaches your inbox or your phone, he says, engage them safely and securely. And this is how I did it. He does it really funny. It's a great listen, and it's very short. I highly recommend it. I'll try to find it to shoot it to you guys and to the people who are listening to this podcast.
No, you're like that. That is actually really. That's a noble idea, because I do the exact opposite. I get off the phone as quickly as possible with telemarketers and stuff like that. Like, I don't even give them a chance to say more than 3 words. I'm like, go find somebody else. Click. So maybe I should. I do have a family member that does that with telemarketers. She'll talk to them like, until they get frustrated. I'm like, why would you waste 5 minutes? You're like, because it brings me joy. Like, okay, got it. But no, you all bring up good points, and I like the plug in the podcast. Good job, guys. Like, you,
Yeah.
like, it takes a lot of the stress off of the producer in the background, right? So definitely continue to check out the show. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP or a throwback or rerun, so to speak, and then Fridays everything else. So movies, books, games, all that good stuff. And then also the weekly rundown is a newsletter that drops on Fridays and has all the episodes, a quick recap, and then some bonus stuff, right? Like some slice of life stuff. There you go. And then anything that someone in my network is doing, I usually like to plug their stuff, like if they're dropping a book or something like that. I like to pop that in there as well. So definitely check that out. It hits every Friday. I think we have upwards of 1,400 or 1,500 subs with a really good read rate. So obviously it must be decent because people are actually opening it up and reading it. So check that out. And then that's pretty much it for right now. Like, we're always up for more bonus content as things pop up. We shoot new episodes, things of that nature. But just whatever social media or virtual platform you have us on, hit the bell so you can get our stuff as it drops. And then also sub so we pop up in your feed. So hit up all the websites that go by our names, either the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP. Hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on every social media platform. And then you, Daniel, where can we find you?
On LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.